Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Ammar, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to be joined by Christopher August, transformational author, speaker, and guide, as well as founder and CEO of Beats and Breath, a dynamic platform dedicated to personal growth, healing, and self-mastery through breathwork and sound. Christopher, welcome to Founders Future.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me today. It's great to be here.
I'm excited to dive in. I always like to start from the beginning. So take me back to before you started Beats and Breath. What were you doing before? And then what really motivated you to get into this space and start the company?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I could probably go several ways because my life has had many twists and turns along my own hero's journey. But really, it all goes back to 2012 when I was finishing my master's degree. I was climbing the corporate ladder, had a very secure, high-paying corporate job in the tech world, and something in me just really didn't feel right. Although, I had the outward label of success, had the new car, the luxury apartment, the quarterly vacations, the travel, all the things that I truly desired. It really, for me, there was a deep longing inside, a longing to really live in greater alignment with my purpose. And at that time, I didn't know what that was, to make a difference in the world, to help people and all of these things. And so one thing led to the next, and I was led on a journey 8,000 miles away from Buffalo, New York, which was my hometown and where I live, to Tanzania, Africa, where I served and lived as a Peace Corps volunteer for 2 years of my life. And during that time, I was going through many initiations, one that led me to the edge of really death. I lost my life drowning in the rapids of the Zambezi River, came back to life, received profound messages of why I'm here and what I'm meant to be doing. And from there, really started my journey, which really from that moment, 2014 on, I started to look at all the ways in which I was living my life and really how my journey, my story could fit into helping others. And that then led me through transformational coaching, through energy medicine, through breath work. And finally, in 2020, 2021, I began a journey to bring the medicine and the power of breath and sound to the world. And later got investment, started an app. And now we're here. There's many other parts in that story, but I'll leave it there for now.
Yeah. Wow. That is powerful. So can you share a little bit more about that experience where you basically, like, what happened? Did they resuscitate you? Like, how did that whole incident occur?
Yeah, I was essentially ejected from the raft on a class 5 rapid in the Zambezi River. And for anybody that doesn't know anything about the Zambezi, it's one of the most gnarly, turbulent rivers in the world. And so I was ejected from the boat. I got bounced out in the beginning of the rapid and then rode the rapids all the way down, in which I was caught in like a washing machine cycle down in the rapids. After fighting for my life, I ended up just surrendering and giving up and just swallowed a bunch of water. Ended up leaving my body for a very short amount of time. I don't know how much time. And I was picked up by a kayaker, and realized just in that moment, someone pumping on my chest, water coming out of me. And in that moment, having the realization of the power of breath, that this is our lifeline to the divine as well as our human self. And so there was a very deep-seated mission that came through in those moments. I even wrote about it in my book as well. And yeah, just very powerful experience.
Yeah, that sounds wild, to say the least. I'd
Yep.
love to dive into what your business looks like today to give the listeners more context. Who would you say, this might be a tricky question for you, for you specifically, but who would you say is your ideal customer? Who do you love to work with?
Yeah, I can answer that on a personal front, and I can also answer that on a business front. There's multiple answers there, but really for me, it's someone that is curious, that is seeking transformation. Maybe they're feeling stuck, unclear, directionless, maybe a little lost, maybe overwhelmed, burnt out. And they're looking for some level of renewal, whether that's physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. These are the people that we serve, that I serve. And whether it's high performing businessman, someone that is just starting their spiritual path, or someone in between, we serve a number of different people. But really, and even recently, working with some NFL athletes. So, this tool, specifically speaking to Sonic Breathwork, this modality, this technology we created under the umbrella of Beats and Breath in our app, it really serves people in many different ways. And that's the beautiful thing. It's very versatile. And, for us, we've seen tremendous results for the thousands and thousands of people that have used our technology, that have gone through our app. And it just continues to amaze me to see people's lives transform and evolve in front of my eyes.
Yeah, that's powerful. What does the business model look like? Like, how do you actually generate revenue?
Yeah, so we have a couple different revenue streams. Number one, it's app, so subscription based, monthly, yearly. We also offer a lifetime deal here and there. So that's the main revenue that's coming in. But then we also offer a 6 month certification program, which you can go through that pathway and become certified Sonic Breathwork facilitator. And then we also have events. We do some corporate gigs, and bringing this breath work into the corporate environment, different teams and organization, and even most recently high level NFL athletes and other professional athletes. So there's about four different revenue streams that we work off of, the app being the first and foremost, and then trickling down from there into our other different spheres of the business.
Got it. Do you offer any like one-on-one coaching, group coaching? Is that part of your offerings or no?
Within the context of Beats and Breath in that business, no, but in my personal brand, I do one-on-one coaching for high performers. And I also have group programs and all of that. And the breath is woven into all of that, as it's a very foundational practice. But within the Beats and Breath specifically, it's kind of what I just went through.
Okay, got it. And I'm curious for you on a personal level, what is your main focus? Is it beats and breath or is it the personal brand?
So I kind of split my time, both really pair together, because it is essentially Beats and Breath as an extension of who I already am. And so there's a sort of split focus in my personal brand. It's the coaching, it's the high level retreats. I do a lot of work with men specifically. And then again, with Beats and Breath, it's everything that I name. So it's really a perfect balance in how I serve, all under the umbrella of healing, growth, and transformation.
Yeah, I like that a lot because I have a lot of coaches and consultants that listen to this. This is our main audience. I'd love to
Beautiful.
kind of get it into the back end of the business. When it comes to customer and client acquisition for the coaching specifically, how do you generate leads? How do you market? Walk me through.
Yeah, I take a very unconventional approach. I rarely ever do paid advertising. Everything for me has been very organic, grassroots, referral based, word of mouth. The more that I've expanded my reach through, whether it's my messaging on social media, building my email list, oftentimes, one of my biggest, I guess, strategies over the years has been doing very key events, whether they're free events or small paid events, in which I'm gathering a ton of leads through emails, and still seeing email marketing as extremely viable. And then, like I said, the referral process, word of mouth. So everything's been very grassroots, organic, and just allowing my business to grow from the ground up. Whereas I think a lot of times, especially if there's some revenue flowing in, it's very easy to want to go the paid advertising route, but we might not have all of our processes together. And so for me, the organic grassroots approach has always been, it might be a slower burn and build, but it's something that really has supported me in my process of building my, multi 6 figure and 7 figure business.
Nice. And I see that you have like 10K plus on Instagram. So obviously there's reach there and you can book a decent amount of calls if there's call to actions and whatnot. What's made you stay away from paid ads so far?
I've dabbled in it a little bit. Really with the algorithm, with the way, Meta has everything set up, it depends on what you're running an ad for, of course, first and foremost. But, looking at client acquisition, looking at ROI and all of that, there's the ad spend has increased greatly over the years. If I look back from when I ran ads in 2018 to now in 2025, you have to spend a lot more to make more. And so, the way I look at it is like, if don't change it if it's not broken. But again, some of these companies that are out there, they're VC funded, they have millions of dollars to keep pumping into ad revenue. I know, people that run 100, $200,000 worth of ads a month. And for me, I'm kind of just sticking with my process. Not that I'm against it, but the ad spend has gotten increasingly higher over the years.
No, I completely agree. We spend about $500,000 a month on ads.
Mhm.
And we've worked with over 4,000 different clients. And I really think the key to make it work, especially from a coaching perspective, is it has to be a decent high ticket offer. So our recommendation is, $3,000 or more. And the purpose of the ads needs to be to book calls. Like
Yeah.
that's the purpose. And then it's just a conversion thing at that point. So it sounds like it's really just the ad spend for you. That's been the main thing holding you back.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's been an obstacle so much. But I guess as a small business, I have several small freelance employees that work for me. It just worked. Now, is there a desire to continue to scale, especially the app and all of that? 100%. I'm always looking for aligned opportunities, but a lot of that has come through collaborations and partnerships as well, and aligning with brands or influencers that are, genuinely interested and use our product,
Mm,
and allow that to go from there.
got it. So I guess when you do think about scale and you think about the different offerings, is it the app that you're looking to scale the most? Is it more clients? Is it a combination? What is what does that look?
Yeah, I would say at this moment, it's definitely the focus. If I were to put into Scout because of reoccurring revenue, it'd definitely be the app. My personal brand, my coaching, the different, high level retreats that I do, that has been just sort of working itself out as I've gone along. But certainly the app, if I were to direct more revenue, more attention, it would be definitely into scaling that, considering it's already a built product. It's a proven product. It's been out there. It's been tested. So we know it works.
Yeah. If you could give advice to yourself when you were first like thought about the app,
hmm
like based off of all of the experience that you've gathered, what would you go back and tell yourself?
It's a great question. I think, just early on, even before the app and business, there's many things that I think I focused on as an entrepreneur. It's all the bells and whistles, the branding, the website, all of these things, right? That, at first are like the allure, but really just creating simplicity in the business, right? And really creating a simple funnel, a simple process for people to walk into. Now, from an app standpoint, I learned a lot by the time I started an app because I had already been in business and as an entrepreneur for several years before the app came. And so, for me, it was always focused on building an MVP product. Um, Something that, it's not as maybe has all the bells and whistles like some of the other VC flooded apps, but does what it needs to do and then add features as more users come along, as more revenue comes along and all of that. So, for me, it's always about simplicity, focusing on the essential versus the inessential.
Yeah, I like that. If you were talking to new coaches, some or maybe somebody that's thinking about getting into coaching in 2025, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, one of the biggest things, especially now, I started getting into coaching in about 2016. So, it's been almost 10 years and the market has changed a lot. There's a huge sort of influx of coaches that are coming in. There's more certification programs. I guess there's just more people in general. And when we're talking about coaches, we're going to look in the life coaching realm. We can look in the business coaching realm. There's just a lot of coaches out there. So what makes you unique? What is your story? Because it's your story, and it is also your story paired with your why that is going to set you apart from everybody else. Because a lot of people are talking about the same thing, they're parroting the same information. And really, a true coach for me is someone that is living and walking the path, a true embodiment of what it means to be a transformational guide. And, I'd say that's pretty rare these days, but really the true currency is authenticity and embodiment.
I love that so much. It reminds me of one of my favorite quotes by Tony Robbins. You can't move anybody unless you've already been moved yourself.
Hmm.
So you can't have that impact. I don't know if you've ever heard the impact or the idea of voice to impact ratio.
I have.
Very cool. So I learned it from a guy named Josh Lyons, and he talks about it from a sales perspective. Are you familiar with him?
I've heard of this before. It's funny because I think it was like almost a couple months ago, someone was mentioning this. It's kind of funny how it came up in this conversation. Go ahead, though.
Very cool. But essentially, the idea is when different people have different voice to impacts ratio. So when you say something, how much weight does the words that you're saying, but the impact of what you're saying have, how much does it carry behind it? And what he was saying is that comes down to the way that you live your life. What are you doing when people aren't watching you? What are you doing when the cameras are off? What are you doing when you're not talking to a client? How do you actually move and live your life on a day-to-day basis? And I think the more in alignment you are and congruent with your thoughts, words, and actions, the higher the voice to impact ratio becomes. And people feel that. They sense it on an energetic level. And it's such a great point. A lot of coaches, unfortunately, they don't do that. In a sense, they don't live what they preach.
There's many out there. And that's why, again, I appreciate you sharing that perspective, that voice to impact ratio. And it's so true because who you are behind closed doors is what you're bringing out into your public life, and that can be felt on such a deep level as we are all intuitive beings and we can all sense and feel if someone is really speaking in alignment with who they are or, out of alignment with who they are.
100%. This is kind of a personal question, so selfish question for me, because I'm genuinely curious about this. When it comes to the practices around what you teach, breath work, etc. I do a lot of Wim Hof. I probably do that every single day. Sometimes I'll just randomly do it while I'm driving, even though they say don't do that. But what are some practices that you can suggest to deepen the understanding and just expand the understanding? Because I that's all I've done. Just a 10-minute breath work, Wim Hof, no further things aside from different meditations, Joe Dispenza and whatnot. What are some tips that you would have for people that are maybe beginners in this world and want to, you know, level up in a sense?
The breath is the foundation of everything, right? It is not only a tool that keeps us alive, it's not just a mechanism that keeps us in this body, but it is a thread, it's a gateway, it's a catalyst to a greater way of living, working, and creating. And so, you know, 20,000 plus breaths, that's what we breathe every single day. And, 99.5% of those breaths are unconscious. And so when we can bring consciousness and awareness and intention to our breathing, even for those 5, 10, 15 minutes a day, that allows us to slow down, become more present, to become more aware. And then from that place of awareness, we can tap into higher wisdom, higher knowledge that's always available to us after our mind slows down and gets into those alpha, those theta states. And that's where the inspiration, the creativity, all of the things, especially as entrepreneurs, gaining that edge, tapping into flow, it is the ultimate tool. And so what I recommend to everybody, of course, I'd say go out and download the Beats and Breath app and what we do with breath and sound together in a very unique, accessible, and fun way. But just sitting here now, breathing in through the nose for 4, breathing out of the mouth for 4, and just allowing yourself to go deep within your body, and just even 10 conscious breaths can shift your state. And when you shift your state, everything around you begins to change, because this is an inside out game.
Mm. As within, as without.
That's it.
I love that. What is the best way for people to reach out to you to work with you?
Yeah. So the easiest way, you can just find me on my website, christopheraugust.co. I'm also on Instagram, Christopher_August. There's multiple ways there. And then, of course, if you want to dive deep into the power and potential of breath, beatsandbreath.com.
Awesome. Chris, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Any final words before you wrap up?
Yeah, I just want to say, anybody that's out there listening to this, anybody that's tuning into this episode, this conversation, know that your next level, your place in which your potential in the places, the spaces, the impact that you can reach, it all begins within yourself, as we said before. And so when you focus on yourself, you focus on your self-care, your self-love, filling yourself up with the medicine of your breath, with that love, with that wholeness. That is how you're going to begin to reach greater levels, greater heights in life, business, relationships, and beyond.
Beautifully said. So that wraps up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to go to christopheraugust.co. You can also go to your app store and download the Beats and Breath app. And you can also follow Christopher_August on IG. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with our team and discover how we were able to go from $0 to $30 million in less than 3 years. Until then, keep on climbing.